I'm having a really tough time getting this video out. It's all just so jumbled in my brain. Like, I want it to come out and I want it to flow like it did in the conversation that I had earlier. And so I'm just gonna try my best to not just ramble, and I want this to make sense and I want this to resonate with you guys. And so bear with me, because this is my favorite one that I'm talking about so far. Like, I'm super excited about it, but at the same time, I'm like trying to get it out of my head in a clear and concise way. So here we go. Boundaries. We all have them. Some of us use them, some of us don't. Some of us have boundaries we don't even know we have. Some of us put boundaries on other people. I have done all of those things. More in today for me, I put boundaries around myself. I think for a long time, and what naturally people want to do, whether it's based out of, personal fear, just not understanding what a boundary is, how a boundary operates. A lot of us want to put boundaries around other people and control how other people act and how other people react to things. And that's not a productive way to have a boundary. I think most of my relationships have failed because I didn't have a boundary around myself where I took myself into consideration. I took my reaction into consideration, and I respected myself enough to sit there and say, I'm not okay with this. It was constantly controlling what the other person was doing and how that they were reacting to different situations in a manipulative way, where I would also have to manipulate and somehow justify those actions, and then ultimately end up blaming the other person for how they reacted, when the whole thing could have been avoided by me just putting up my own personal boundary and saying, I'm good. Like, I'm not dealing with this. So another thing to remember is, as humans, we interact all the time, but other people's BS, other people's personal issues, they're not your problem. With the regard of kids and, people doing bad things to each other, like infidelity or lying and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you play a role in that, but I think if we're clear and honest with each other as humans, anything that somebody feels about you or whatever it is you've done that you have held yourself accountable for is no longer your issue. And so for me, that's my biggest boundary, is that a lot of times, being on social media, more so on my Instagram account, I've often been subject to criticism, or, there's always that one guy out there who's like, you're a joke, that's not my responsibility. A lot of people here probably think that, they know me, or they have some preconceived notion that, that I'm this certain type of person and I'm going to react a certain kind of way. And that's just not true. And so I know what I am. I'm very comfortable with who I am, and that works for me. And everything else is just white noise. And I can take constructive criticism when it is coming to things that involve my peers that I'm close to, whether it be I need to be a better friend, I need to do this better. I can definitely accommodate other people's needs, but I'm not willing to open senseless bullshit into my life. So that's my biggest boundary. And so I had a long conversation today, and we talked, looking at a boundary in a diagram, like on paper, is a lot easy to understand. And so I had this conversation today. I verbally had it with someone about a drawing, seeing it in a drawing, and we were describing it. And so of course I sat down and I drew it out, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is like kindergarten. Like, this makes sense. Just talking about it, it's a little bit hard to get through. Like, okay, I think I know what she's saying. So I drew pictures with stick figures. And so I'm just going to define in my position what I believe is a positive boundary, one that works. And not a good boundary, one that probably doesn't work, which probably is an issue for a lot of failed relationships, a lot of mine, and I'm sure a lot of other people's too. Just because getting close and really understanding the purpose of a boundary is it's a tough thing to do, I think, especially when you have a lot of influences that are going on. And maybe if you have some fear into if you put up a personal boundary that maybe there would be some sort of negative repercussions, so you don't put it up because you don't want to rock the boat. So I'm going to show you guys what not a personal boundary is. So this is, for me, this is an incorrect way to have a boundary. So this is me, and I'm controlling this person. I think I'm setting a boundary, but I'm really not. I'm allowing this person to come at me, and I'm playing the game, right? I'm accepting what they're saying, and then I'm throwing it back at them, and then I'm watching them react, okay? And so that's not okay, because you're just sitting there trying to control what that person is doing, right? That's not effective. You can't control other people. You just can't. It doesn't work. As soon as you start trying to do it, that's when all hell breaks loose and everything's probably gonna fail. Maybe not, I don't know. Have a good open, honest conversation about it. Maybe you'll get through it. Personal boundary. This is what works for me. It's very simple. Here's what also comes with this particular boundary. This is me. I put a boundary around myself. This is somebody coming with me, and I say, no thanks, I'm good. Bye. See ya. And then I don't have to, it's not my responsibility to control how they react. That's not where my energy needs to go. My energy needs to go here. My energy needs to focus on my purpose and my life and how I choose to live my life and what I'm willing to have in my life. And somebody who's gonna come mess with me is not. Somebody who's gonna play games, somebody who's not gonna be honest with me, I'm not doing that. That could be a guy or a girl. I tried to make it unisex. That's me though, obviously a girl. Probably could have drawn some boobs. Anyways, so boundaries, right? How many of us do that? How many of us sit there and think that we're setting a boundary, but really we're just trying to control the other person and how they react? And, you know, with me, I've become so introverted and so comfortable in my own mind and my own space. I love being alone. I don't like being in public places. I don't even like, you know, without alcohol, I'm just not this social butterfly. I really, really genuinely enjoy being in my own space. And that means, you know, whether it be in my mind, my feelings, through this, you know, technically I'm still in my own space and I'm sharing with you, you know, and I welcome you guys into my space by doing this, but this is a boundary for me. I am really comfortable doing this. So, you know, I think let's just be honest, you know, for me, setting up this boundary probably makes it seem like I'm a little bit of a bitch, you know, that maybe somebody would look at me and go, oh, she thinks she's just too good for everybody. Or, you know, she's not friendly, or she's not, whatever it is, you know, whatever negativity that's out there that's coming my way about the way that I choose to live my life, because I know what's healthy for me, I know what works for me, and I know what doesn't. Because I'm not open arms to everybody like I used to be, and I'm not just allowing anybody in to come hurt me or play with me, or the potential of either of those things. I have run into some situations where maybe it comes across as, you know, when I put my boundary up and I voice that, and I voice that honesty and that truth and say, no, I'm not doing it, or I'm not interested. or whatever. I know for a fact I come across as probably not a very kind person. And I'm okay with that because it's not my responsibility to make you accept me. I am what I am. I'm very, very comfortable with who I am. I have some really great qualities. I have some things that I need to work on, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with myself. And so all I have with that being said, to protect all of that is a boundary. And these are boundaries that I live with every single day. From guests on the boat to my friends to family to how much time I'm willing to put in to even, entertain small things. You make the choice in your life as to what it is you're willing to put up with from other people. Just because you say no doesn't make it wrong. Just because you aren't interested in playing somebody's manipulation game, or just because you're not interested in being in a relationship, or maybe it's taking on a new job, or maybe it's like a promotional position at work and it's going to, maybe that's a bad one because we all want money, right? Everybody wants a promotion. I think you get what I'm saying here. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to say yes. For me, those two words are really important because I say yes to a lot of things and I say no to a lot of things. And I'm very clear and concise about those things. There's no gray matter. While the emotional part of it might be a little bit gray and have more to it than just the surface of the black and white. No, thank you. Yes, please. Being able to communicate that with somebody in a very firm and strict way lets them know that I'm just not interested in that, or I am interested in that. I am welcoming that into my life, or no, I'm not. And so boundaries are awesome. And if you can find the boundary tool and you can utilize it in a way that is really positive for yourself, I am not shitting you. You can create everything around you. Everyone who bitches about drama or who has drama in their life, boundaries. Everyone who, has that significant other or ex-significant other that you're trying to have a relationship with but getting crossways and can't quite figure it out, boundaries. Anyone who is starting to date, newly daters or somebody who's been dating for a while, and maybe you're on the different page about what you want out of a relationship, boundaries for everything. Even to what you're willing to listen to within a conversation. I do that all the time. Like, there are some conversations when they start getting sideways or talking shit about somebody else or just kind of bullshit white noise, things that are just occupying my brain now that don't have a purpose. So I'm going to give a really quick analogy when I end this video since I'm at 13 minutes already. So yesterday, my daughter and I were talking about purpose, and she was like, well, I like to run with a purpose. And I was like, oh, like run from the cops? And she's like, no, run for a soccer ball, Mom. I really, really like that. And when she told me that, it kind of played back in my head today, and I was like, oh, no shit. Speak with a purpose, live with a purpose. Everything that you do, every boundary you set, everything you say yes to, everything you say no to, do it with a purpose. And you can literally just create your surroundings. I have no drama in my life. My father is very, very ill, and that is very hard to deal with. And I guess some people would view that as like a negative that somebody's going through, but we're all going to go through it. However, I don't have friend drama. I don't have relationship drama. I don't have any of it. And as soon as I welcomed boundaries in that way in my life, I was able to control all of it. And I couldn't be happier. So I hope that if you didn't know what a proper boundary was, and maybe you were controlling others instead of controlling yourself, that maybe that'll help you eliminate some stuff from your life, because we have way too much negativity in the world. So I think it's time that we all just kind of embraced our boundaries and made a whole bunch of them, and just be a little bit more honest with each other. So I'm ending this video. It's 15 minutes. I'm so sorry you had to sit through that whole thing. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next week.